and a tremendously powerful figure in the field, and editor of the Astrophysical Journal, which is probably the most powerful position in the field. And he chose not to, in his wisdom and judicial fairness, chose not to send it to a referee, but he just wrote across the paper, "This exceeds my imagination," and he sent it back to the director of my institute, Horace Babcock, with the obvious implication, you've got to do something about this staff member of yours who's doing these very bad things. And so Horace called me down in the office one day after this, and I walked in his office, into the director's office, and I saw this paper lying in front of him with Chandrasekhar's scroll across it. And Horace looked at me and said, "Well," he said, "this is just too much, and you're going to have to start looking for another job." And so all I could say to him was, "Well, if you send me that in writing, please send me in writing." And I was obviously incorrect and embarrassing research that ARP does. So finally they sent, "Please send me in writing." And I was waiting in great trepidation for weeks and months to get something in writing, and I finally never did, so I realized that he decided to give me another chance, so to speak. So that was fairly early in the game, and then some years went by, and there was the competition for time, particularly on the 200-inch telescope, was getting more and more heated, and people were saying, "Well, we can't continue to give time to this obviously incorrect and embarrassing research that ARP does." So finally they sent a letter to me from the allocation committee, including a number of the younger members of my institute, saying that unless I changed my line of research, that they would have to take away my telescope time. At that point, I considered the situation very carefully, and I figured that the evidence, although a lot more evidence could be gathered and has since been gathered since then, the important thing was not the evidence, because if it was true, it would come out someday. The important thing was the principle of scientific investigation, whether scientists could follow new lines of investigation and follow up on evidence which apparently contradicted the current theorems and the current paradigms. And I also felt that regardless of what happened to me personally, that this was the important issue, and that I had no choice but to resign on the point of this issue, so that if it developed, which I thought it would, that my line of investigation was correct, that people then in the future would say, okay, this was the wrong thing to do, and in the future we're going to have to see that this kind of thing doesn't happen again.
Peculiar galaxy NGC 7603, discovered 30 years ago by Halton Arp, is one of the more striking examples of galaxy-quasar connections. It has recently been re-examined after the discovery of 2 new quasar-type objects embedded in the connecting filament. The renowned optical astronomer Margaret Burbidge has for decades been a central figure in the struggle to bring controversial observations such as NGC 7603 to the attention of conventional astronomers, and for her fairness and untiring efforts in the field, she has become one of the most widely respected women in astronomy.
There's a very interesting galaxy known as NGC 7603. It's a Seyfert galaxy. That means it has one of these active nuclei with strong emission lines and a lot of activity, obviously, going on in its center. And it was studied years ago by Chip Arp in his Atlas of Peculiar Galaxies. It has a spiral arm that seems to come right outside of the galaxy, trailing right out, and it ends up on a fainter galaxy, but it ends right up as though it's connected the nuclei of the two galaxies.
In the Atlas of Peculiar Galaxies, which was published in 1966, that was the point of the atlas. And one of the objects, just to illustrate what a peculiar galaxy is this what is now famous NGC 7603, and this is the central Cepher, which means just a very, very active galaxy with a lot of energy in the nucleus and a lot of explosive energy and so forth. And here is the high redshift companion here, and you see it's joined by a filament of material. It turns out, from the observations, that this filament of material is material of the galaxy, gas and dust and stars and so forth, that's been drawn out in the ejection. But the astonishing thing and the controversial matter is that this galaxy is a much higher redshift than this.
Now, NGC 7603 has one redshift of about 8,000 kilometers a second, and the other galaxy has a much larger redshift. So how can they be connected? Well, because they've got to understand this, and I've heard good friend astronomers say, well, there's more out there in the universe than we understand.
What's really happening in these systems is that the centers of the galaxies are the places where creation is taking place rather than just in a big bang. And so you're looking at all these mini bangs where matter and energy are actually literally being created. And this is an old idea which is not ours. Originally it was due to the very famous Armenian astronomer Victor Ambatsumian, who only died a few years ago, who also argued that galaxies which appear to be coming apart and objects that are coming out of them are coming out of them. Very simple idea, but Ambatsumian, who was a very well-known theorist, always said you must look at the observations, and maybe if things are coming apart, appear to be coming apart, maybe they are coming apart. Conventional astronomers don't allow things to come apart. They always say there's enough dark matter in the system to hold it together.
I've come to the conclusion that what it is that will unseat an established prejudice, a strongly established prejudice, is one observation. One single observation, usually a very simple one.
It was very, very strong, just from looking at this picture, that these objects had been ejected from the central galaxy and that they were initially at high redshift, and the redshift decayed as time went on. And therefore we were looking at a physics that was operating in the universe in which matter was born with low mass and with very high redshift, and as it matured and evolved into our present form, that we were seeing the birth and evolution of galaxies in the universe.
If proto-quasars ejected from the nucleus of active galaxies themselves evolve into new, younger galaxies, astrophysicists must find experimentally and observationally the mechanisms which describe this phenomena. One model explains that the proto-quasars are ejected, trapped in the galaxy's extreme magnetic field, aligned along the spiral arms, thus explaining the torn, disturbed features often observed in the galactic medium, and the frequent appearance of high redshift companion galaxies attached by filaments to a lower redshift parent galaxy. The other and most frequently observed alignment is when quasars appear to have been directly ejected out of the galaxy's active nucleus along its line of least resistance, creating a field of systematically high to low redshift quasars, or younger to older evolved protogalaxies. This is exemplified in innumerable systems like the one around the galaxy quasar field of NGC 3516. If one disregards the proposed redshift distance to these objects, observation clearly points to ejection as a likely explanation for their close vicinity to the central galaxies around which they are found. These results, though preliminary, are promising developments which may lead the way to new and exciting insights in cosmology.
One of the best
Solar system is passing through an interstellar cloud that physics says should not exist. The magnetic cloud. Using data from Voyager, we have discovered a strong magnetic field just outside our solar system, explains lead author Merav Ofer, a NASA heliophysics. Impressive. The local FLUFF is what they're calling it. Astronomers call the cloud we're running into now local interstellar cloud, or local FLUFF for short. It's about 30 light years wide and contains a wispy mixture of hydrogen and helium atoms at a temperature of about 6,000 degrees Celsius. By the heliosphere and heliosheath, an area before the boundary to interstellar space, seem to be doing their jobs. There is a possibility that the FLUFF is compressing our bubble. As our solar system passes through the FLUFF, it becomes oblong, while simultaneously resisting the magnetic bubbles of the FLUFF. There is also the possibility that there are cloudlets of significantly higher density gas within the FLUFF. Remember what Stephen Smith said about them being drunk on hot gas? Could these higher density cloudlets make it through the heliosphere and into our solar system? I'd be more concerned about zapping the sun's electric current or vice versa. I do know from reading Worlds in Collision that we are in a supernova remnant. I don't know if that's the FLUFF they're talking about. It goes on. The average density of local FLUFF is about 0.3 atoms per cubic centimeter. To put this into perspective, the density of the edge of the Earth's atmosphere is about 12 billion atoms per cubic centimeter. At this extremely thin density, there is much reason to worry about it penetrating our heliosphere. But if cloudlets of significantly higher densities came through, they could potentially burst our bubble, according to astrophysicists. These cloudlets could allow more cosmic rays to penetrate our solar system, potentially wreaking havoc on our climate. Oh, I thought that was our fault. But we only have another 10,000 years before we pass through the FLUFF and our cosmic sky clears. Well, I think if something was going to happen, it would have happened. That's their artist rendering. What I like about this website is all the links are dead. I wanted to do a little check on this Russian scientist guy. While anthropomorphic causes of climate change are undeniable, there could potentially be additional outside factors at play. According to a Russian scientist named Dr. Alexev Dmitriev, this energy that is being emitted from the FLUFF could be affecting all the planets in our solar system. Dmitriev believes that this energy is producing hybrid processes and excited energy states in not just the planets, but also the sun. So, what are the consequences of this for life on Earth? Dmitriev states that this excited state could accelerate a magnetic pole shift. It could affect ozone distribution in the atmosphere, and it could generally increase the frequency of catastrophic. Is prescient or overdramatic? We may soon have more data surrounding this phenomenon. I would say yes. NASA's Voyager probes have almost breached the heliosphere to enter interstellar space. It's a long one, where the FLUFF begins. The probes are currently in the heliosheath and able to measure the magnetic field of the FLUFF. As they get closer, they will hopefully be able to tell us more. I don't think this is going to be an issue at all. The universe would be chaos if this was able to happen. And they always say magnetic, but they never say electric. So it's more about the charge. Fluffy mystery solved. Our solar system is passing through a cloud of interstellar material that shouldn't be there, astronomers say. And now the decades-old Voyager spacecraft have helped solve the mystery. The cloud is called the local FLUFF. It's about 30 light years wide and holds a wispy mix of hydrogen and helium atoms. According to a NASA statement released today, stars that exploded nearby about 10 million years ago discovered a strong magnetic field just outside the solar system, explained Merev Ofer, a NASA heliophysics guest investigator from George Mason University. This magnetic field holds the interstellar cloud together, the FLUFF, and solves the long-standing puzzle of how it can exist at all. The FLUFF is much more strongly magnetized than anyone had previously suspected. This magnetic field can provide the extra pressure required to resist destruction. Ofer and colleagues detail the discovery in the December 24th issue of the journal Nature. NASA's 2 Voyager probes have been racing out of the solar system for more than 30 years. They are now beyond the orbit of Pluto and on the verge of entering interstellar space. They've been on the verge for, at least 10 years. During the 1990s, Voyager 1 became the farthest man-made object in space. The Voyager craft, racing in opposite directions, have revealed, among other things, that the bubble around our solar system is squashed. The Voyagers are not actually inside the local FLUFF, Oprah said, but they are getting close and can sense what the cloud is like as they approach it. The FLUFF is held at bay just beyond the edge of the solar system by the sun's magnetic field, which is inflated by solar wind into a magnetic bubble more than 6.2 billion miles wide, 10 billion kilometers. Called the heliosphere, this bubble protects the inner solar system from galactic cosmic rays and interstellar clouds. The 2 Voyagers are located in the outermost layer of the heliosphere, or helios sheath, where the solar wind is slowed by the pressure of interstellar gas. Voyager 1 entered the Helios sheath in December 2004, and Voyager 2 followed in August 2007. These crossings provided key data for the new study. Other interstellar clouds might also be magnetized. Ofer and colleagues figure, and we could eventually run into some of them, their strong magnetic fields could compress the heliosphere even more than it is compressed now. According to NASA, additional compression could allow more cosmic rays to reach the inner solar system, possibly affecting terrestrial climate and the ability of astronauts to travel safely through space. I'm wondering right now why it is they feel compelled to say they figured it out. I think I know why. Could it be that they just slightly kind of feel the electric universe breathing down their necks? Let's go take a look at the electric universe and see if we can find it. February 17, 2015, charged plasma surrounds the solar system. Electric sun theory presupposes that the sun is a glowing anode or a positively charged electrode. Its oppositely charged cathode is invisible, a virtual cathode called the heliosphere that exists billions of kilometers from its surface, where a double layer isolates the sun's plasma cell from the galactic plasma that surrounds it. Galactic plasma is otherwise called the interstellar medium, ISM. Electric forces work within a double charge layer above the sun's surface, generating active plasma phenomena that are seen by orbiting solar probes, as well as ground-based instruments. Celestial bodies interact through conductive plasma and are connected by circuits. So the sun is also assumed to be electrically connected with the galaxy. The sun can be thought of as an unstable electrically charged object, seeking equilibrium with its environment. Charges flowing into and out of the sun can sometimes increase to the point where it releases plasma discharges called solar flares. Conventional scientists think that solar flares and their associated coronal mass ejections, CME, are caused by magnetic loops reconnecting with each other, causing a short circuit. Magnetic reconnection is a poorly constructed theory, but it is the only explanation offered by heliophysicists. A dark mode plasma emission is constantly radiating from the sun, traveling at a speed of 700 kilometers per second when it is at its most energetic. In a gravity-dominated universe, solar radiation pressure cannot explain how charged particles from the Sun accelerate past Venus, Earth, and the rest of the planets. Prior to the solar wind's discovery, no one expected such acceleration. Electric universe proponents think that there is an obvious explanation: electric fields in space. Coherent electric charges flow through the solar system, so it is reasonable to conclude that dark mode solar plasma is affected by electrodynamic fields. Since the circuit that connects the Sun with the Milky Way extends for hundreds of thousands of light years, electrical energy is probably constrained by magnetically confined Birkeland currents, providing power to the solar anode. The electric sun creates flares, the hot corona, and all other solar phenomena because it responds to the charges and electrical input from our galaxy. Birkeland current filaments electrify the solar system, supplying more or less power to the sun as they oscillate in power output. Arc mode, glow mode, and dark mode discharges are all influenced by those flowing electric charges. These ideas most likely hold the reason for what scientists call the local hot bubble, LHB, that surrounds the solar system. A recent press release states that detectors have located a field of million-degree interstellar plasma that initiates an X-ray glow over the entire sky. NASA astrophysicists found that X-ray background is radiating most strongly in the plane of the Milky Way. According to their theories, it is in that region where X-rays ought to be absorbed. As Massimiliano Galeazzi from the University of Miami in Coral Gables, Florida stated, "This is a significant discovery. Specifically, the existence or non-existence of the local bubble affects our understanding of the area of the galaxy close to the Sun, and can therefore be used as a foundation for future models of the galaxy structure." Electric universe theory has already presented information that can partially explain galactic structure and its influence on the solar system. So it doesn't seem really to be anything that they're that concerned about. It seems that it is normal. That's what powers our sun. Well, it's just as I suspected. Mainstream doesn't know what they're dealing with, but the electric universe does. That's just the whole point right there in a nutshell. I mean, they walk around in their plutocratic little world, and I don't know. It's like a poem I heard once. It said, "Silly monkey sits on treetops in the springtime and thinks himself tall." Remember how disgusted you felt when in the closing scene of the film Raiders of the Lost Ark, the Ark of the Covenant, hidden in an anonymous wooden crate, was consigned to a giant warehouse full of similar-looking crates? Your reaction was, cover up by the government, no doubt. This was fiction. But do such cover-ups exist? One of the most revered historical institutions in the U.S., if not the world, is the Smithsonian Institute, compilers and keepers of American history for as long as anyone can remember. Would they? Could they blatantly ignore the existence of a staggering historical find because it seemed too radical for conventional thinking? People must judge that for themselves. One of the greatest natural wonders of the world cuts deep into the heart of Arizona, the Grand Canyon. Beautiful and breathtaking, this vast cleft in the earth holds many secrets, perhaps none more mysterious than the one reported in the Phoenix Gazette on April 5th, 1909. An explorer, one G.E. Kincaid, who had served at the Smithsonian for over 30 years, was reporting a startling archaeological discovery. Kincaid's boss, Professor S.A. Jordan of the Smithsonian, who were financing the expedition, was said to be enthusiastic about the find to be further investigated, as it was of major significance. Kincaid had found, which happens to be the same name as the California fire right now, about 2,000 feet up the canyon wall above the Colorado River, some 42 miles upstream from the El Tovar Crystal Canyon, a cave entrance to a vast underground city chiseled from the solid rock. There were steps up to the cave, suggesting that the river level had been that high when the inhabitants had lived there. This would mean at least 3,000 years had passed since then. How they know how fast the river recedes, I do not know. This would mean this citadel was almost a mile underground and was very precisely carved in geometric patterns over an enormous area. Kincaid reported that several hundred rooms had been discovered, but that the full extent of the city was still impossible to estimate. Perhaps the most startling find was the Great Hall, about 100 feet in from the cave entrance. This contained a carved idol, presumably of the god these people worshipped, which he described thus. The idol sits cross-legged, with lotus flower or lily in each hand. The cast of the face is oriental, and the carving shows a skillful hand, being remarkably well preserved. It resembles Buddha, and though scientists are unsure of its religious import, it reminds them strongly of the ancient people of Tibet. Many smaller, beautifully carved images were reported, as was the finding of all kinds of copper tools, preserved by some hardening method which modern-day scientists have failed to emulate. Artistic vases and urns of copper and gold, as well as enameled ware and glazed vessels were found. Granaries, like those found in Oriental temples, still holding seeds, were also discovered. There was a gray metal found, resembling platinum, which scientists could not identify, and yellow stones known as cat's eyes were everywhere, each one engraved with a Malay-type head. Even more significant was the finding of hieroglyphics, amazingly similar to those found in Egypt, engraved on urns on tablets and around doorways. Deciphering these would be a major step towards solving the mystery. But did it ever happen? A large crypt was found, with many mummies in it, reportedly well preserved. They were all male, entombed with weapons, suggesting that this was a burial site for soldiers. Though varying degrees of development in the ceramics found with them hint that this was a civilization that was constantly refining itself. It was thought that up to 50,000 people could have lived in this city. They would have been quite safe. Strangely enough, the tradition among the Hopi Indians tells of an ancestry that harks back to their people having once lived in an underworld in the Grand Canyon, until rivalry broke out between two factions. The good faction, the people of one heart, were led to the outside world by Chief Machado, while the people of two hearts remained behind. Picture of the Isis Temple in the Grand Canyon. Today, visitors looking from the south rim of the canyon can see the structure called the Isis Temple, a pyramid hewn from the solid rock of the cliff top, and obviously man-made. Page 302 in the book Ancient Secrets of the Flower of Life, Volume 2, holds an account by two backpackers of an exploration of this edifice. They tell of finding cave entrances that had been deliberately sealed, though they did seem man-made, one having a clear 6-foot circular pattern carved into the roof. This site is over 40 miles from the one reported in the newspaper article. Yet, why would caves that are almost inaccessible need to be sealed up? And was the originally stated location simply a mistake? G.E. Kincaid was a respected man, the first and an explorer for all his life. His words about the entrance to the Citadel are prophetic. First, I would impress that the cavern is nearly inaccessible, he said. The entrance is 1,486 feet down the sheer face of the canyon wall. It is on government land, of course, and no visitor will be allowed under penalty of trespass. A trip there would be fruitless, and the visitor sent on his way. I sent a number of relics to Washington, after which the exploration was undertaken. In the latter part of the 20th century, detailed research by one Carl Monk uncovered a mathematical system employed by the ancients for the exact placement of the Egyptian pyramids in alignment with certain star systems. This same code can be applied to other such structures, wherever they are found. His findings revealed that the Isis temple must be a major archaeological site, lined up as precisely as it is with the Great Pyramid of Giza. In 1909, the Grand Canyon Citadel was regarded as not only the oldest archaeological discovery in the United States, but also as one of paramount importance to the world. Yet today, nothing more is known to the public than has already been said. The Grand Canyon is festooned with places that bear ancient Egyptian name, yet no one in authority can tell you why. Interest in the area is highly discouraged by officialdom, and the Smithsonian Institute claimed to have no record of Kincaid, Professor Johnson, or a lost Egyptian civilization in Arizona. The Phoenix Gazette story must have been a hoax. Or could it be that something was discovered back then of such monumental import that it needed to be hushed up forevermore? Did G.E. Kincaid actually exist? With no records of his work or any proof from the Smithsonian that he worked for them, many think the newspaper article was an April Fool's Day joke on the 5th. However, the above copy of an earlier newspaper piece from 1909, published a whole month before the Phoenix Gazette piece appeared, shows that G.C. Kincaid's expedition did indeed happen as reported. What is more, a translated ancient manuscript recently located describes a voyage made thousands of years ago by a group from Asia traveling to a city built within what they called the Canyon of Light, intended to visit a holy man or shrine. The descriptions given seem to indicate that this city was to be found in the Grand Canyon. There is also said to be a couple of statues there that have been worn out by the ravages of time. A princess, which could be a coincidence, but on the other side lies a prince. Are these just a coincidence? Or pareidolia?
A true sophisticated man cave.
No one is prepared to answer the question all these things pose. And even though the research done within the Citadel might be proved, beyond doubt, that the race which built it were of Oriental origin. I think it's Asian origin now. This might be old. Possibly Egyptian travelers from the time of Ramses. Hieroglyphs found in Australia point unequivocally to Egyptians having been there at some time. So why not the Americas as well? Remember the cocaine mummies? If they made it to Peru, they could make it to Arizona. Perhaps the Nile, the Colorado, and the Grand Canyon are inextricably linked through a span of time that defies the imagination. But if so, someone has decided that we should never know how strong those links are. The Citadel may officially be no more than an elaborate myth, but the evidence for the contrary view is quite compelling. It would perhaps be unfair to put the lost underground city into the same category as Area 51, but the secrecy surrounding it over 90 years can't help but make you wonder just what was actually discovered. Unfortunately for the inquiring minds amongst us, we may never know. Now, they have a 24-hour-a-day, 7-day-a-week guard armed guard with an M16 on the site at all times. If there was nothing there, why the guard? To keep people from killing themselves, maybe? I don't know. There's a lot that just don't add up about it. Both ways. It's very interesting, though. Did the ancient Egyptians inhabit the Grand Canyon?
I read that in one article, but couldn't find any corroboration, so I don't know if that's true or not. Maybe at one time, I don't know. But, yeah, that was kind of on a lark. But, okay, let me see here. Let me get, got a couple of things to do here. You guys there? Is anybody checking in? Anybody there? Hello? Yoo-hoo! Yoo-hoo! Hello! Is anyone there? Let's see. We got.
Hey.
Dogstar, all right. St. Pauli, good deal. Yeah.
What's
So what do you guys think of the Grand Canyon thing, huh? Doesn't that, like, if they could go to Peru, because, you know, the cocaine mummies, did you ever see that episode?
It wasn't just cocaine that came from the Americas, but yes.
Nicotine, too. They had nicotine and cocaine in their DNA or whatever it was they measured.
That.
Yeah. So, and also, Egyptians used boomerangs, and the certain Native American tribe, actually going to be talked about in the next story, is said to have used boomerangs too. So that, you know, I mean,
boomerang. Another thing in common was the horse riding bowmen on different locations.
Yeah. And I heard that King Tut was a boomerang freak. He had a whole tub full of boomerangs, if you believe that King Tut was real. Because some people say that he was a confabulation, or that guy made it up and got all that stuff. Because the burial site was made for a female, not for a male. You'd have to watch the video on that too, you know. But I don't know. Maybe he did exist. But if he did, he was a boomerang freak, because he had a trunk with like 400 boomerangs in it.
And there's
Greg.
Yeah.
Right.
Greg, have you ever heard the song "My Boomerang Won't Come Back"?
No.
You'll have to look it up.
Okay, I will.
It's a good one.
I never could get him to come back. When I was a kid, we used to
What's right?
Probably didn't have it made right or something. Yeah, but
so why you throw them? You got to throw them the right way.
Yes, that's what I figured.
And then they are. That's
Yeah. Now, if they hit something, that they don't come back, right? They stop. Right?
That's the idea. If it hits it, it falls to the ground.
Right.
That means bullseye. You hit your target.
If you hit like a grizzly bear with a boomerang, I think the only thing you
Gonna
might do is
piss him off.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you get his attention, even.
Yeah.
They're mainly used for birds.
What's that, Grouch?
They're mainly used for birds. Hunting birds.
Yes, that's what I saw. I saw a video of the Aborigines in Australia throwing them at bats. Or something. I don't know what it was. It was some nasty bird. They were like, yum, yum, yum. I just don't like the thought of eating bird.
Aye?
Or something foul about it, Piggy?
Yeah.
FOW. So.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, so I don't know. You guys, what do you think? Do you think that story about the Grand Canyon is fake, or do you think there's something to it? There might be something there.
I believe it's possible.
Yeah.
But also, I mean, because I recall as a child, going through back in the day when we'd go to the library and slide these things across that were, I forget what they're called, but it was all the newspaper clippings. That you could read microfilm, and you could read all the old newspapers, and I could see for myself that it was reported, documented, got pictures, everything. And somehow it's kind of like, you know, we went to the moon, but we forgot how, and we accidentally recorded porn over it, all the information and data.
Well,
oops.
You know, I think a lot of that was, if they did go, which I happen to think they did, because they used secret space technology. They used the electrogravitics to get on and off the moon. That's why there was no blast crater.
Yeah, it wasn't chemical rockets like it's been shown to it.
No. Chemical rocket maybe put them into space, but still, even then, why would you take a chance on putting someone on a Roman candle when they can just lift up into space in 40 seconds on a TR-3B? And they've been around for a long time.
Oh, yeah. The tech's been around for a long time.
In
but
the
as far
50s,
as...
it went black in the 50s. They were advertising the G machines are coming. And then all of a sudden, nothing.
Yeah. A lot of things are like that. Nothing.
And if human beings all of a sudden devised a way to travel to the stars or even to the furthest planets, do you think that they wouldn't? I think they would. And we'll end up crashing on another planet, and they'll end up getting our... that stuff's probably happening all over the place, right?
Oh, see, there's a lot of evidence pointing to that. Like when I was speaking about earlier, like you're talking about, there was a time before a total blackout of this knowledge and technique. It's like there were professors at these prestigious schools that were teaching this stuff, like John Keeley. Nikola Tesla went and learned a lot from him in these accredited schools before they started just totally sweeping it under the rug. Anything, can't put a meter on it, don't want it.
Right. No, that's right. That's exactly right. And that's what governs this planet. Profit. Seems, I don't know, to me it just seems like it cheapens everything. It just seems, why? Why is this so important? I mean, how much money can someone have?
Everybody's been misled, or we've been programmed to seek this material thing or things, stuff, whatever. But true fortune is invaluable. You can't put a price on it. Fortune, good fortune.
It's love, man.
Yes. And I cannot put a price on it.
Absolutely. I agree with that 100%. I think the only thing that we can, really take with us is love. I mean, I do believe that we're going to see an afterlife, and, we'll probably be able to help the ones we love into the next world someone's going to help us. I don't know. See, the astral plane, that's the key. That's why I always believe that if we're going to travel to another star system, or if someone's going to travel here, it's not going to be linearly point A to point B and maybe hit a meteorite or something. It's not. It would be some secret that they unlocked, because all points in time are connected. There are no islands in space. And that Ben Rich guy, he asked him to elaborate on it, and he just said, how does ESP work? Well, you're getting kind of into the woo-woo territory there, but still, I don't know. I think anything is possible.
Well, yeah, when it comes to possibilities, especially when you're not limited, and your imagination has not been successfully stripped away, to where you're not afraid, to stick out and not fit in. If you're not too concerned with your reputation, that's what you get caught up on, worrying about what other people think about you instead of your character, which is who you are. Then, and you lose all this ability to even question, not to mention to imagine.
Exactly. Like that Einstein meme. It says, imagination is more important than knowledge when it comes to intelligence. Because knowledge is limited to what we know. And imagination is how we go to the next step. And it's true.
And yeah, I don't know very much at all. Though a lot of people think I'm very knowledgeable, but and I can accept a compliment, thank you. But the more I learn, the more I realize, the more there is for me to learn. The more I learn, the more I realize I do not know.
That's right. And I always try to, I remember Wall saying something real early when I started getting into it. He said, you have to have a beginner's mind. You can't really go into something with an ego or thinking you already know what that is. You have to do that. And, even if something sounds crazy, like that other saying I just wrote on the last video I did, the truth sometimes is so unbelievable that it goes unknown because no one dares to think it, because it has to be rational. And the Greeks brought that in. Everything has to be rational. Aristotle.
Yeah, that's in my philology research and etymology, everything dead-ended at Greek and Latin, and supposedly the books they were copied from disappeared or were burned on accident or something. They all were gone, and it's like a dead end right there. And then it's like, okay, I need to circumvent this. And that led me into deeper research.
Yeah, and the deeper you get in, the more of a rabbit hole it turns out to be. And, I agree with St. Pauli girl when she said that something really crazy happened. And I think in the very beginning, when humans were brought here, I don't think, maybe we were made here, but there's a good chance we were brought here from another place. It's 50-50. But it seems like there was something that was really wild and radical, and then some people were survivors, and that's the ones who made all of these really remarkable. I mean, everything that's locked into the Great Pyramid, it's got like the speed of light locked into it. If you take the circumference and times it by 1,000,000 or times it by 1,000,000,000, you get the exact circumference of the Earth. All of these things that were put into it had to be put into it by extremely high intelligence. That they wanted someone to figure it out. You know what I mean?
Oh, definitely. That's like research into, I was interested in all religions and mythologies.
Yeah,
wondering, why is there so many? And the more I learned, the more I comprehended the similarities across the board.
Yeah, that's right.
It's like, who wants us all divided again?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and that somehow or other, at the cataclysm happened, at some time there had to be a point in time where there was benevolence on the earth. I don't know if it's anarchy or what it was. Anarchy doesn't mean no rules. It means no rulers. Everybody just kind of governs themselves. But something drove us crazy where we had to compete with one another. And it must have been Velikovsky's Doomsday. That's just what I think. I mean, there could have been life on 4 planets, and everybody had to come to one. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, I definitely question origins, especially when it comes to aquatic life and land life. It's 2 different worlds right there anyway.
Have you seen? Did you happen to catch? Not to get off. It's not off the subject. It's kind of on the subject actually. There's a new Greer video out, and I've never been a fan of his, but when I watched it, I kind of came away with a whole different opinion of him. I mean, he's really trying to, like, there's some coming hoax of an invasion that they're going to try to, because of what was his name? The guy who ran NASA, the Nazi.
Ron Braun.
Yeah, but he was dying. He told this one doctor girl, the woman with the really shocking bright hair, told her that first it would be Russia, then it would be states of concern, then it would be asteroids, and the final card would be the alien invasion. Or they want to have a war with it. They want to have an interplanetary war. To me, that just sounds completely insane. If they have the technology to get here, man, I mean, they could probably just incinerate the planet if they wanted to. They're trying to help us, it seems. If they're really here. I mean, I don't know, but it just seems if they're here, they could have destroyed us thousands of times and they didn't.
Well, there's a lot of stories that I followed that caught my interest that were kind of leaning that way, like the Y-12 installation, ICBM installation.
Yes, yes.
They had their incident, and then Russia had theirs.
Mm-hmm.
They thought it was us. We thought it was them.
Mm-hmm. That's right. Yeah, I know. And then there was also, they've sent 2 nuclear weapons into space. Now, it was a former NASA guy who said this. I don't think it would be bogus. I don't think he'd be lying. Why would he lie? 2 nuclear weapons have been sent in space. One was sent to the moon. They were going to explode a 15 megaton H-bomb on the moon. And a UFO followed it and shot it down halfway there. Both times it got shot down by a UFO. Now, if that's true, that says a lot.
Yes, just like when they went and hired the civilian that developed a high-speed camera to be able to try to find out why all of their launches were failing on the West Coast there.
Right.
And what it revealed was they were he was able to slow the increase the frame rate so much where they could slow it down frame per frame, and I forgot how fast frames per second it was.
Mm-hmm.
But
yes, I saw that.
And great. Yeah, it was only a couple of frames that captured it, but they actually saw something.
A UFO catch up to the dummy warhead, and then it shot it 4 times and then sped off. And
that was one of them.
14,000 miles an hour.
Yeah, and it was so fast from their calculations that they were like, okay, we don't know what this is.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's really an interesting scenario, and who knows, there could be some real galactic federation out there for all I know, but the UFO situation, I mean, our oceans are only 5% explored. I mean, they might even be from Earth as far as we know, I mean, if anybody else wants to chime in, feel free. Yeah, I should go look at the chat, because maybe some folks want to be heard on this. I'll come out and see you. Wait a minute. I got to make this small. See. Okay, right there. So, no, that's not it.
You there, Greg?
Yes, I'm here.
That video you were talking about, that English bloke did. I watched that the other day too.
Which one? The one with Greer?
Yeah, where he did the electrical connections for the planets.
Oh, really? I didn't.
Yeah.
I didn't see that.
Did you see the one? Yeah, it was on Chris somebody's site, and he did the what you call a schematic drawing in his view, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the way I interpret it, so all the planets are in parallel to the sun. Right? And he talked about, why Mars has got a thin crust and that.
Mm-hmm. Go on.
And
Yeah, it's
what Pauli was saying, and what some Pauli girl was saying earlier, you get your catastrophes, catalysms, and then you get your reset. We go back to nothing, sticks and stones. He also spoke about what you also said about whereby, and then you find your strength in grouping up and eventually becoming tribes and countries and all that.
Yes.
So you got to remember
Go on. Go on.
And it's written that the Sumerian Empire went from equally as good as we are today in their own time to being unable to read and write within 120 years.
Interesting.
So you really take it, that bug that's been around, if it had really got a hold, you lose a third of your population, then you end up, because you lost all that brain power maintaining all our systems, then you end up in conflict, lose a third more, where are you?
Right.
You're back really at the start.
Yes. I wonder how many peoples have been wiped out.
Dogstar said BRB coffee.
Because you've lost all that knowledge and losing. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it's possible that it's just you get to a certain point and then down, and then it's on a sort of a downhill trajectory until something happens and it goes again. But for some reason, we seem to get to a certain point and then it stops.
Right. It's just like if it happened today. If we had a major cataclysm and we were just found some survivors strung out here and there, it would have to start all over again. We would be able to use the things, but we wouldn't know how to operate, how to fix them, or
Yep, engineering.
Yeah, exactly.
Near them and all that. That takes generations to build that.
Yeah, it's like those pyramids you see in Egypt that are all just like crumbled mounds now. It seems that they tried to copy them, but they couldn't.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I agree with that. I agree with that. Yeah. Something crazy happened, like she said.
Yeah, every now and then,
sonic weapons. I never heard that before. Saturn Matrix says he's stuck with reptilians, keeping humanity under a trance. Yeah, that's an interesting hypothesis, isn't it? Were you talking about the English fella that I told you about, Wayne Byrne? Did you watch that? Yes.
Yeah.
I thought that part of his presentation was solid.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, that was really interesting, that. And I think he had it pretty well, a lot of it pretty well on what could have been.
Right, exactly. Yeah, the part about Venus, she chooses to go above instead of below, and then it takes the north hemisphere of Mars out as it's going by.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Or is
it No. I thought that was pretty good, that.
Yeah. I'll put the link in the description for you folks, so you can see it. It's really interesting, and like I said, he poo-poos like Venus coming out of Saturn. He says it's ridiculous, but I just think that might be a little bit of kind of maybe brown nosing for mainstream. I'm not sure, but I mean, there's a few parts of his story that's a little wacky. But outside of that, he's got some solid stuff there.
Yeah, and like I say, at the end of it, all of that, at the moment, I don't think anybody's totally proven it one way or the other. You understand what I mean? It's still sort of in the, as a theory or hypothesis.
Yes, yeah. I think it can be called a theory. I think it's beyond the hypothesis. I mean, for God's sakes, our oxygen, water, and salt match. We all have a similar actual tilt. What is it that says no? I haven't seen anything yet. And plus, you have the outliers, proving, showing that they must have come from somewhere else. That's why they're not.
So that comes back to the old saying where from chaos you get organisation, and organisation will eventually go back to chaos.
Yeah.
And then it will reorganise itself.
The fact that Earth ended up where it is, kind of to me, indicates that we have a supreme being too, like God. God is real. That might sound crazy, but I don't think that we came about by random collisions, dude. That's crazy.
No. And I also don't think planets really, if planets collide after a collision of planets, there wouldn't be much of them left. I mean, the forces that would be involved would be unbelievable.
And then there's some folks that go the other way with it. They go completely to the left and say that we're assimilation, that we're just an experiment. What do you think of that scenario?
Well, we could be, but we don't know, do we? Pretty good experiment if we are.
Yeah. When they hypnotize people, I don't know, because I've never been hypnotized, and I don't believe I could be. But they say when they hypnotize people that they'll tell them they have a boiling pot of water in their arms, and they'll really think they do.
Yeah, but hypnotism only works if you accept it.
Right.
So if you talk to anybody that's ever been sort of like practices it, at the end of it, you can only do those suggestions if you've accepted it.
Yeah,
So it's not something that say I could force on you.
Right. Well, David Icke has the theory that the moon and Saturn are beaming some kind of matrix in front of us and stuff. I hear that. I don't. I really don't know what to think of it. It's entertaining, but I don't really put much into it. But there's all kinds of theories. There are a dime a dozen. I tend to cling to Sagan theory because it seems more like it has something to back it up.
Yep.
And that's what I look for. It's easy to say there was a major war and all that, but there's no proof.
And it does appear that at one stage we were under more of that red light, which would have been the dwarf star of Saturn. And at that point, yes, things like those bigger animals and that would have been able to do well because there would have been a lot of growth, a lot of, you could just say, food from.
Mm-hmm.
Where now we don't have that the same, do we? That's why you like the red light, isn't it, Greg?
That's right. Well, it's the light of our mother star. I'm telling you, I'm gonna show you something. I'm gonna look it up right now. Let me just show you. Science-backed health benefits of infrared light therapy. Long-lasting pain relief, lowering blood pressure, stress relief and sleep problems, peripheral neuropathy, fibromyalgia, rising low body temperature, boosting immunity, cancer healing, brain injuries, weight loss, allergic, whatever that is, full body detox, chronic fatigue syndrome. Look at this. I mean, is it just a coincidence that infrared light is that good for us? And I'll tell you, I'm here to tell you, it works. I've been sitting under one every day for a year. I've lost 50 pounds.
But you also use that when you're doing like your show now, where you're up all night, don't you?
Yes.
All right. And that's because there's been shift work studies, and they've used different light variants on people when they're working night shifts and that, to help them, and looked at the various of how it keeps you awake and that.
Yes.
So they say people that are working night shift, if they're under more of that sort of light, they don't get tired the same.
Right.
You know
I
what
have
I mean?
more
Like,
energy.
yeah, as you would know, previously working night shift, as you'd know, around that, not long before sunrise, and as sunrise comes, it's a battle keeping awake at times.
Oh, absolutely. Sure.
The hormones just say, hey, you should be having a nice sleep now.
Right.
And it's a hell of a fight, isn't it? As that sun, just prior to the sun coming up.
Yeah, that tends to be the time when I'm the sleepiest. Yeah.
Yep. And once the sun's been up for a while, you come good again.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, have you ever watched a sunrise? No two are alike. I mean, I haven't had the chance to do it a lot, but I've done it once this summer. It just happened to be up and outside when it was coming out, and you just see it at first little peek over the trees. You know, it's light before it even comes up. That's the blue hour that I was talking about. That reminds me of the purple dawn. And I wonder if that's like that on purpose. There are really a lot of coincidences. Do you ever notice that?
Yeah, sunrise is always good.
Absolutely.
You there, Greg?
Yes.
Yeah, sunrise is good.
Yeah, you see the birds getting ready for it. They're just waiting for it, man. All charged up, chasing each other.
Yeah, it's like all the birds and that get going. Yeah. And you're right, when that sun first comes, as it's first peeking out, you get the light.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's a nice time of the morning.
It sure
it's just
is.
a bugger getting it.
You have it's just
a damn nuisance.
Yeah.
It's just a nuisance being out of bed that time of day, I think.
Well, I've always kind of been a hoot owl, you know. So I guess I'm gonna you know, I got to play ball today at noon. We got rained out last weekend, so today is the big day. And I'm not gonna have it. I was gonna go maybe another hour at the most, and then log. So, you want me to get into something else?
That'll do. We'll sit back and have another listen.
Yeah, and then we'll chat a little bit more. Oh, wait a minute! I gotta say hello to everybody. I didn't do that.
All right, I'll go silent. See you, Greg.
Okay, man. Nice talking to you, Grouch. Always. You too, Dogstar. Okay, what am I doing here? There we are. Okay, we got, wow, Buried Exploit. You've been here a while, man. You've been hanging out. T-Nix, 88. Barbara Caroli. Very nice to meet you, Barbara. Circlic. Saturn Matrix, good to see you. Let's see, who else do we got here? Florist. Saturn Matrix, T-Nix, Circlic, and that looks like it's about it. Raykar was here. Hi, Raykar. Good to see you always. And Shannon. And it looks like it's about it. Going all the way up, almost. Mad Villain, 139. And that looks like it's it. Okay. Shannon W. What's up? Okay. Heading back into the... We're going to do one, just quick one here by Tess. And then we'll be back into the oddities. I love oddities. I really do. It all stems back from when I was 6 years old or 7. My brother was sitting at the kitchen table with my dad, and he said, "Dad, you know, there could be a train going through us right now. We wouldn't even know because it's in another dimension." And I blame my imagination on that because I started running with it, and I've been thinking abstract. I used to talk to my dad when I was 10. We'd have talks like you wouldn't believe. That stuff just interested me beyond belief, and it still does today. And I have my dad and my brother Gary to thank for it. All right, here comes the show. I think this is going to... In 1974, Carl Sagan sent a message into space 2 ways, one by a plaque on the Pioneer 10 and 11 spacecraft. Another one was sent by the Arecibo telescope in 1974 as well. The 1974 broadcast, known as the Arecibo message, was put together by Carl Sagan and colleagues, was sent into space via radio waves at a special ceremony to celebrate the remodeling of the Arecibo radio telescope in Puerto Rico. It was the most powerful broadcast ever deliberately beamed out into space, directed at a star cluster sitting approximately 25,000 light years away. It consisted of a message depicting our planet's location in the solar system, the core principles of our math and science, and the NASA antenna used to transmit the signal in hopes that it would be interrupted by an extraterrestrial intelligence so they could come here and eat us. The message also included details about human beings, such as our physical appearance and DNA code. The signal was 1,000,000 times stronger than a typical TV transmission. You can see the message here. 27 years later, in 2001, the crop circle phenomenon gained a well-deserved attention when a pattern in the form of a response to the 74 broadcast appeared right next to Britain's largest telescope, the Chilbolton Observatory, home to the world's largest fully steerable meteorological radar. It's one of the most amazing crop circles ever to appear, regardless of whether you believe it was done by human beings or extraterrestrial intelligence. What these researchers claim is that the humans kill the crops. The legitimate crop circles are not killed. Here's a picture of what seems to be the response to the message sent in 1974 by NASA. The message describes a different solar system, an image of the sender, just like the original NASA message, non-human DNA, a microwave antenna instead of the radio wave antenna that was depicted in ours, microwaves. It was written off as a hoax, like most crop circles are within the mainstream. A face also appeared in a rectangular image. The face represented a new technique in crop circle generation, a screen technique that is also used for printing face on a piece of paper. What's also interesting to note is the fact that the microwave antenna signal in this crop circle also appeared a year earlier in the same exact field. And the most compelling thing about it to me, and he's not really saying it in this article, but the planets that the alien creatures say that they inhabit is we inhabit the third rock from the star. In the aliens one, they inhabit the third, fourth, and fifth rocks from the star. And that is a match to the habitable zone of the TRAPPIST-1 system. Could it be that this crop circle is an answer from TRAPPIST-1? Well, we'll never know, because 9/11 came and the whole thing was swept under the rug, of course. But it is very interesting to say the least. What do you think? Do extraterrestrials really have some fancy way to leave crop circles? It sure would seem that way. TRAPPIST-1 is a red dwarf star. It seems to be solo. I haven't heard him mention any
mates. Discovered in 1999, it is roughly 10% the mass of the Sun. 3 of its planets are located within the habitable zone of the star, that is the region where liquid water can occur. And TRAPPIST-1 has the honor of having the most planets in a habitable zone discovered so far, with our solar system only having 2. And that all depends on whose chart you're looking at. Some charts have Venus in the habitable zone and Mars out, and other charts are vice versa. I suspect much the same in the case of TRAPPIST-1 as well. The AT race also claimed that they had 21 billion souls. It's a lot more than we have, but you realize in 1970 we had 3 billion people on Earth roughly. That's more than doubled since then. Life is very possible on these worlds. However, it may look different, says. My guess is it would have 4 limbs and a head. That seems to be a universal standard for meat robots. But as you know, that depends on all kinds of factors. TRAPPIST-1 is 39 light years from Earth, or 235 trillion miles. It's not too far. But personally, I like to keep an open mind on these things, because you never know. Nothing is a sure thing. And the fact that we exist, to me, is proof enough that life does indeed exist in the universe.
My God, there's going to be a crop circle there tomorrow morning. Oh, wow. Oh, there's another one. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. Come here.
My hands felt just like 2 balloons. Now I've got the feeling once again. I can't explain, you will not understand. This is not how I am. I've become comfortably numb.
I realized quite a while ago now that the only one I can control in the world is myself. So if I make myself a person who is productive to the earth in my lifetime, I will have done a huge part, even though it's the smallest part. If everybody did that, then we can rest easy to know that our good earth is going to be around for a long time to come. We stand a much better chance of making it. Take care. Please consider joining my Patreon club. The few members that are there are lonely. I'll see you on down the road. Don't forget, tomorrow, 1 o'clock. Now I have to go cram for the exams. All right, I'm going to come out there. That's 2:43, so we got a little bit of time still, about 17 minutes or so. Is anybody still out there in the chat land, in the hall? So who do we St. Pauli girl, come and say hello. We're going to finish it up by talking.
I'm here.
Yeah. So what did you think of that little crop circle thing there?
Oh, I thought that was awesome.
Yeah, you know.
But that's for real. I totally believe that. I don't think that's faked.
Oh, some, well, not all of them maybe, but some, because they had some boobs out there with boards and a rope. But how can they make intricate designs and not kill the plant? That's the thing. Hello?
Hello. Yes, I've also seen what looked like exposure to some type of potential, allowing the bends not to kill the plant.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that's their way of saying, this is us doing this, because people with boards kill them.
But they're orbs.
If you can show me that a person can do it without killing it, then I might want to believe it. But then all the warnings that they give. Have you ever seen that?
Yeah, but do they have the warnings come true? No.
You'd have to watch this one video that I have intent with Professor Croth. Grouch, did you see that video that I sent you with Professor?
Yeah, that video. Yeah, that was good.
Yeah, wasn't it? He was talking about the production of cement is going to is doing more to
one of the worst things we do.
Yes,
it's the sand. Sand.
Right. It just somebody
There was 2 or 3 things he said.
Oh, I know. I'd like to show some of it. I didn't ask him though, but geez, it's pretty good. I'll just put it in the links for you guys to watch if you're interested. And
That bit there's up near the end, Pauli. The bit that Greg's talking about is probably about 2/3 of the way through it starts.
Mm-hmm.
So if you don't want to watch the whole lot at the time,
Talking about, I've seen it before, but it's been a long time ago. Yeah, a long time ago. He talks about this, the sand. There's so much sand being removed or whatever.
No, not that. No, that's a different guy. This guy here, he's a professor. He's retired, and he takes on the question. He started with Roswell, and he happened to be a teacher of a little girl that gave him something that he couldn't comprehend. And then when he heard about the Roswell metal, that metal that can't be bent, or it can be bent and squinched and everything, but it can't be punctured. Did you hear about that?
And it goes back. It does.
Yes.
It goes back to. Yeah.
You heard about it?
Yeah, I have.
It's pretty interesting, for sure. I'm going to see if I have maybe a little snippet. And
where are you going to put the links? Where are these links going to be?
They'll be in the description as soon as I can. We'll close down, and then probably tomorrow or today, actually later, when I get a chance, I'll add all the links. I can put a few in before I go, but
you do a good job remembering all them.
Oh yeah. I make little notes. I want to make sure I remember everybody. Let me see if I have that. I thought maybe I recorded a little bit of it because it was so interesting. Definitely always give the creator credit. Never want to steal.
Pauli, what do you think makes the crop circles?
What's that?
What you said for Pauli, what would you think makes the crop circles or creates them?
I don't think they're extra or alien. I don't think that they're alien. I think that they're from another dimension.
Yes, I was about to say.
And and they look like orbs to us because that's what they look like in the third dimension. They look like orbs, but they're not really orbs. They're like people or maybe maybe machines. Maybe they're like drones from the fourth dimension. Drones, I don't know, but you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
They have a lot of energy.
So you think
they have a lot of energy, and it's sort of an energy connection.
Yeah, they say that there's a lot of energy in them, and that it's positive, I guess, or whatever. But I mean, if there are aliens, actual aliens, from another planet, like in our third dimension right now or whatever, I don't think so. I think whatever people are thinking, they're talking, like if people channel or whatever, I think they're channeling or whatever they think. I think that they're getting people from the fourth dimension.
And the thing is, if they were here, we probably couldn't see them or feel them anyway.
Yeah. I mean,
the hotter it is, the less
I don't know.
Maybe attempts to.
I mean, if they're flesh and blood people, like if aliens are actually flesh and blood, and whatever, like even if they're a million years in advance of us or whatever, I'm having a hard word trying to find the right words to say.
Well, how about we're going to watch 5 minutes of this guy. I'll leave a link.
Oh, okay, good.
And I want you to just see just a little. I don't want to overshow him. I didn't ask his permission, but if I show 5 minutes and give him credit, I don't think he'd mind.
Yeah, I absolutely wouldn't.
You know, I mean, I'm not trying to steal it or anything. I'm giving him full credit.
Sure, I think it would be nice if somebody showed my videos. You know, I think it would be great.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind either. Okay, as long as you know
Oh,
you
yeah.
do the proper thing, you know, and give him credit.
Well,
Here
not
it
like
is
you
right
making
here.
a video.
Okay, let's watch
I'm
it.
doing a commercial for him. Okay, check him out.
Communicate with humanity.
Yes.
And to transfer technology as well.
Man, it's not very loud, is it?
Let me explain. A couple of these you've seen before, very quickly. This is a crop circle that appeared across the river
check up the
from a nuclear power plant that was 46 years old.
compressor.
Those large circles with 6 rings around them could represent 3 radioactive elements: polonium, astatine, cesium, all of which are produced in nuclear power plants across the river. This is a crop circle that was an attempted warning that this could result in a fissile reaction, a Chernobyl-like event.
sound okay?
It was a warning. The year after the crop circle, there was another accident in this dinosaur of a facility, and they finally decided to shut it down. Not because of the crop circle, but it was a warning. Now, I wrote a book called Messages from the Gods, a scientific exposition on the extraterrestrial origin of crop circles. Very controversial. I found 40 crop circles out of and he has superimposed it on the crop.
I blew it. There was something else playing while I was recording it. No, wait a minute. The sound's still going on. It's coming from someone else. Can somebody turn their sound off? You can hear it from... It's coming from St. Pauli girl. Yeah. Can you kill your son? Oh, no, I know what to do. Okay, there. All right. You can keep your son on now if you want.
This is a crop circle that was an attempted warning that this could result in a fissile reaction, a Chernobyl-like event. It was a warning. The year after the crop circle, there was another accident in this dinosaur of a facility, and they finally decided to shut it down. Not because of the crop circle, but it was a warning. Now, I wrote a book called Messages from the Gods, a scientific exposition on the extraterrestrial origin of crop circles. Very controversial. I found 40 crop circles out of 4,000 that I understood, with about 10 or 12 other scientists that I sort of co-opted to help me decipher them, decode them. And let me give you a few more. Some of these you've seen, most of these you haven't. Stick with me. This was a crop circle that appeared just at about the time COVID-19 was reaching serious status globally as one of the leading causes of death on the planet. I thought that looked like COVID-19. It had spike proteins, 9 of them. It had 3 small circles in the center. After all, RNA is in the center of the virus, and this crop circle has 3 small circles representing the 3 letters of RNA. Very complex discussion. I'm cutting to the chase here and giving you just the messages without the rationale. Here's one. A crop circle right in front of a chalk mine. What in God's name would that mean? Well, there are 3 white rings around these circles and 2 white rings around these circles, and a little bit of thinking, consulting with scientists. The inner circle rings could represent H2O, water, and the circle rings could represent calcium carbonate. Mix the 2 together and you're well on your way to having cement. Chalk mines are there to make cement. Cement is one of the most polluting industries in the whole global warming panorama. That's CO2. This is cement production. Okay, it's one of the most toxic industries. That's the discussion in the book, which I'm skipping. So here's the translation of the message into English, which is what I tried to do. Here's the translation from ET, if you will. The production of cement is releasing vast amounts of carbon dioxide into the atmosphere, which is impacting the planet's health and the survivability of your species.
That was a message. Here's another one. One of the 40. A magnetar is formed when two colliding neutron stars meet. Up until the time of this crop circle, all scientists believe that when neutron stars collided, they formed a black hole. But they do, but sometimes they form a magnetar. They're very rare. That is the most magnetic object in the known universe. Only 10 in the whole Milky Way.
It has to be electric.
This appeared, this is a long discussion, and I'm cutting to the chase. This crop circle appeared on July 13th. A magnetar, a rare magnetar, was visible the next day. Here's the message. Pay attention to a coming magnetar event. It will occur very soon. It will teach you more about the origin of gamma ray bursts, magnetism, and the physics of neutron star mergers. Holy cow. This is a gigantic crop circle, bigger than a football field. If you look closely, you can see a couple people standing there. And an enterprising microbiologist said, "My God, that's melatonin." And he said, that's a long discussion, he said that is the chemical signature of melatonin. And he has superimposed it on the crop circle, and it was just like a perfect fit down to the electron. Why would someone make a crop circle of melatonin? It's a sleep aid. But then again, if you do your research, you say, wait a minute, maybe there's more to it. Well, there is more to melatonin. Beyond sleep regulation, melatonin plays a role in spermatogenesis. The hotter it is, the less viable the sperm. We know that our sperm counts are going down. We think it's only for humans. No, it's for vertebrates. All the vertebrates in the animal kingdom are experiencing lower sperm counts because it's getting warmer. This crop circle appears statistically in the hottest week of the year. Here's the message. Human-induced alterations in your planet's climate will have a negative effect on your progeny. It is important for you to learn. It was so beautiful. We're supposed to believe this is made by vandals in the middle of the night with that exactitude, with no dogs barking, no tire tracks. Give me a break. So what does it mean? Well, here's the translation. Long discussion. A magnetar in your Milky Way in a constellation which you call Camelopardalis is unusual in that it generates outbursts from its interior more than typical magnetars. By studying its rotation and energy bursts, you will increase your understanding of gravity and magnetism.
Notice they don't say electricity.
Here's a crop circle, one circle surrounded by six circles, surrounded by six circles. What is it? Well, sulfur is the center circle, and fluoride are the other six circles, and the six circles around those are six valence electrons, and that's sulfur hexafluoride. I had no idea what that was. Long discussion. I'm skipping the discussion. Okay? Sulfur hexafluoride is manufactured by human beings. It is an extremely toxic greenhouse gas, 23,000 times more potent than CO2. And when it gets in the atmosphere, it stays there for centuries, 1,000 years. Okay? And we keep producing it. Translation. Your species is producing highly toxic sulfur hexafluoride, and it will impact the health of your planet and your progeny for generations. Long discussion. I'm skipping that rationale. If you think I'm going too fast, you'll have to read the book. So here's two crop circles. They look very similar. One 2018, one 2014. How do you decode them? Well, it turns out they seem to be very closely related to lunar eclipses. Long discussion. Translation into English. Lunar eclipses slow the rotation of your planet and release earthquakes, volcanoes, and changes in your magnetosphere. You do not know enough about these cycles of these eclipses and their impact on the internal processes of your planet. Wow. We'll take that under advisement. And another in France. Look carefully, baby. You can see a speck in the center. That's a person. This is a gigantic crop circle. I thought it would be simple. It isn't that simple. So the big circle represents helium with 2 electrons, and the little circle represents hydrogen with 1 electron. So you've got helium and hydrogen. That crop circle's in France, about 150 miles north of France's gigantic construction project trying to make a fusion reactor, which still doesn't work. Multi-million-dollar project. By the way, the half circle, we decided, represents a fermion with an overall spin of 1/2. So here's the translation. Revise your approaches to nuclear fusion and pursue the deuterium interaction that produces helium-3. Study helium, its quantum asymmetries, chaotic orbital trajectories, and half spin. This will better help you achieve your goal of fusion. Advice.
What do you think of that?
I rarely see a crop circle made by extraterrestrials that has a human form. I thought this was made by humans, therefore. But if you look at the people in there, it's a gigantic thing. It's well done, no tire tracks. And I thought, what if that's a rare crop circle depicting a woman? So archetypally, it is called the spiral goddess that dates back to before the Great Pyramid, 3500 BC. But I'm still wondering why. July 27, 2008. Could it have something to do with the Lehman Brothers collapse 46 days later? The Great Recession? $2 trillion lost? 6% decline worldwide in GDP? 200 million people worldwide lost their jobs? What's that have to do with this woman? And then I read an article on the Lehman Sisters hypothesis. It was a serious article saying men take risks differently than women. Men handle debt differently than women. If women were in charge, maybe this would not have happened. In fact, here is the quote from the president of Iceland, Vigdis Finnbogadóttir. This is what she said. The financial bubble was created almost exclusively by men, specifically young males hooked on excessive risk-taking. Hence, it should not come as a surprise that it has been suggested that the financial collapse would not have taken place, or would at least not have been as severe if women had been at the helm. Translation of the crop circle, long discussion. Here it is.
But what do you think? What do you guys think?
Balance your masculine, aggressive...
Or do you think it's just a bunch of hodgepodge? Because I think some of them are, but I think some of them might be legit. You guys want to weigh in on that? Anybody? I'll leave the link for the video for you guys if you want to see the whole thing. I just thought that was pretty interesting, you know. Everybody went.
It was interesting.
Yeah, I'm here.
Hey, you better put Pauli back on.
Yeah, Pauli, what do you think of that? I wanted to get your reaction.
Yeah.
Oh, wait a minute. Oh, wait. Sorry, I forgot to turn you back. Your sound. Okay, there you go.
I mean, how he got. I mean, I'd like to know how he first started thinking along the lines of, you know, whatever. How he saw. I guess I need to see more of that. But I mean,
his evidence.
He described it in the beginning. He said he's got together with about 40, how many other scientists.
Yeah, no, I believe him, and I believe that what he's saying. I believe it's true. I mean, what other explanation has anybody come up with? Any other kind of explanation for these things?
No. Later in the program, he comes up with the idea that maybe these are the way that other dimensions can communicate with us.
Yeah, that's what I said earlier. I think that
Yes,
they're
I know.
from another dimension, and they're not.
Yeah, that's right, Greg.
They're-
And that what we are doing is also affecting them, and that is why they're sending those messages.
No, I don't think that's true because they don't.
That's what they think.
What they do over there doesn't affect us.
We didn't start really noticing a surge in UFOs until after the first atom bomb.
No, that's true, and that might have, thinned the veil, between.
Right. That's what I'm.
Making it easier.
It may affect where they live. I don't know if it does or not, but I mean it's certainly possible.
But I think that it's just.
See, does the atom bomb open the porthole?
That's what I'm saying.
Yes.
They don't. We don't know what kind of effects.
I mean, yeah. I mean, they've been. How many have they? Tested, quote unquote, tested, like that we know about.
We've tested 321 nuclear detonations, and the
That's
Russians
just
had
that.
about the same.
So I mean, all in total, there's been like 500 testing of nuclear bombs.
600, yeah.
And then you've had the ones that the English did, the ones that the Indians have done.
Yep.
Then that's 600 punched holes in the veil. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's the reason we have a hole in the ozone.
Making it really easy for them to get, making it really easy for them to get through. But yeah, because I mean, there's so many. I don't know. There's a lot of weird videos. I mean, that you see, and some of them you think, well, yeah, that's probably fake. But some of them just, they can't all be fake.
Right.
The weird creatures and the weird, things people see, and I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah. I know what you mean.
I think that what that guy was talking about. Why not? It makes a lot of sense to me. That last one though, that he said was a woman.
Yeah, I know. I just did that. 'Cause
I didn't. That didn't look like a woman to me. You know what that looked like?
What? It looked
That
like a
looked
goddess.
just no, it looked like Mars. With the coming close in.
Wow, yeah,
with the
I didn't
tongue,
even think about that.
and then was it Saturn or whatever?
I
or
mean the.
Well, I undertook the last one when he said the woman to do with the fertility.
Yes, that's what I thought.
That we're destroying our fertility.
It could be the polar configuration too. Come to think of it, I didn't really look at it that way.
In the way that.
Or it could be.
Because at that time we were under a matriarchy, right?
Yeah, but don't say we are, because
humans.
Your average Joe is we're not making the rules or making they if they want to get rid of the population, there's lots of ways that they could do it without it looking like they actually did it.
Mm-hmm.
Like feeding us food that's no matter what, it's like 99% crap that they're feeding us. It makes us fat and clogs our arteries and doesn't give us any really nutrients or anything. And your body just doesn't know what to do. It's just getting, constantly, and we think that it's okay to eat it because it's in the grocery store. And then they've done everything they can do. Just like if you want to plant your own food, unless you have some kind of a seed that you find like seeds from somebody else can give you that are actually from an original plant from I don't know how long ago. It's how long it's been since they've been messing with the the Monsanto, they're all genetically messed up. So you think.
So what you're saying is you need heritage seeds.
Yeah.
And there are different places. There are different places you can purchase them.
Yeah, you can purchase them. Yeah. But your average person that just wants to have a garden, they're just thinking, well, I'm going to be healthy. I'll just get my own without thinking, because that's how things have gotten, though. And sure, it's great. Oh, like we have a little garden every year, and this year we put in some squash. And usually, when you grow your own, it's just more tasty. It just has, and this stuff is just crap. I mean, it didn't taste. It has no flavor, and the tomatoes, no flavor, like the tomatoes that you buy in the store. Mm-hmm. It's like it's the same stuff, even if you. So I don't know. See, but if I'm the only one that thinks that, my husband doesn't think that. He thinks that everything is, he thinks that I'm just real negative, and I think everything's awful or whatever. But I'm like, I'm a realist. But he thinks that, no, the governments, they won't hurt you, and whatever. Everything that happens is, you can trust everybody, and it's just and so we're at odds with that. So, but anyway, I believe what the guy said about the
thing is that most of these things appear really slow until it happens. Yep. So nobody believes it because you don't really see it happening. And then when it happens, of course, everyone runs around to find something or someone to blame. And then we muddle along to the next crisis. Yeah. You get what I mean by that?
Yeah. Well, yeah. And because people
so you keep going, Paul.
People just they sit around and they, like they could hear something on the news or whatever. And, like I remember watching, I forget what I was watching, news or something. And they had like, it was like a 10-second little segment they just put in there. And it was, I forget who it was, the Rumsfeld or one of these guys saying that, oh, by the way, we can't account for $3 trillion, something like that.
Yeah.
It was just this little 10-second thing, mm-hmm. and nobody said anything about it. None of the people, none of the hosts, they didn't comment about it. It was just in there, and then that was it. And I'm like, did you hear that? Did you hear that? And it was like, but they, they said it. It's like they came out and said it. It's like they had to say it, whatever.
It's more like,
and I'm like, did you hear that? And, it's like, what are you talking about? His name came on and just said, that we can't account for $3 trillion or whatever.
Just before 9/11.
Yeah. It was like, what? And I heard it,
Actually, it was the 10th of September.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And the place that got hit by the alleged plane was the place where they were doing the bookwork to find out what happened to it. And all of a sudden, boom, got hit. Everything got incinerated.
Everything, all the records gone. Can't. Yeah. Just convenient. Just a little convenience there.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. There was something else, too, about some people from China that were involved with something that has to do with computers, some kind of a super cell or something, and they were meeting at the senior Bush's, he's a CEO at his company, to work out a deal, and they showed up for the meeting. The others didn't. The planes hit. They were killed. Isn't that interesting?
Mm-hmm.
An interesting coincidence. But I have no proof, I mean, it's just, that's the way life is. One day you're here, the next day you're not. So, I mean, I can't say nothing was going on there, but you never know. I mean, it's just interesting how coincidences happen like that.
And here's another one I remember seeing. This was a long time ago, like in 1999, and I was watching what's that show, with the clock, 60 Minutes. 60 Minutes. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But they had just it was towards I think it was like maybe the second to the last segment they had, and it was a very short little segment. It was like maybe 5 minutes, and the guy walked over. He was like in somebody's backyard, and he garage in the backyard, and he walks the interviewer guy, and he walks in the back, and there's these two guys, and they're in the garage, and they were showing him, the guy, that they were able to transport like beam me up, Scotty, that kind of thing. And it was like a couple of grains of sand. I mean, very minute, and they had like this. It was they had like kind of like laser looking things, and one was on one end and the other was on another end, and they turned it on, and they showed the little grains disappear and then reappear on the other side of this thing, of their little machine thing. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
They just, and then that was it.
Like I said, yep.
I'm like, did anybody see this? Anybody see this?
Did you ever see the little bit that I did with Dollard talking about that?
I love Dollard.
Yeah, well, I got it. I can find it. You want to watch it for? It's only 5 minutes long.
Yeah, when he talks about the sun.
Well, that too, but this one is about what you just said. It's about transporter. Let me find it. It's only a couple minutes long. I posted it, actually.
I don't think I've ever heard that, but I'd like to hear that.
Yeah. Let me see.
So you put that one on YouTube too?
Yes.
You going to run that on YouTube, good?
I did.
All right.
Yeah, it's a very short video, but I did put it on. Let's see if I can find it.
Does he do any more videos anymore? I mean,
don't
has he
know.
done?
I haven't heard anything from him in a while. I hope he's okay. And, he
What was that picture
living in
of?
his car.
Yeah, but he doesn't. He tried to, go back to work or start doing I don't know whatever it was that he was working on. He was working on something, and they came in and they tore it down or whatever, like broke in and they stole half of the stuff. So he's back to square one or whatever.
Oh yeah, that happened to him like way back in the day, right? Like in the 70s.
I don't know if he's still alive. I don't know if he's still alive. I feel sorry for him. I mean, so what? Maybe he did take drugs. Who cares?
No, I don't think he did. I think he's a pretty clean guy. Have you ever seen the 3-hour presentation he does on the history of electricity and science? It's really good.
On what?
The history of electricity and science. The history of electricity and science.
I think. I don't know.
Well, I'll give you the link. It's really good. Yeah. I mean, Dollard is I don't know. Sometimes he's kind of on a different planet, but a lot of times he's really good. It just depends on where you catch him at.
And he would say, he goes, they know this. They know this.
Yes.
Like whatever he would say.
Well, here's the video. I found it.
Okay.
So I'm going to show it to you right now.
To be kind of a prelude to a situation where electricity will disappear in one physical location and reappear in another physical location without anything going on in between. In other words, a true action at a distance. And as far as like the conspiratorial or theory end go, I would go so far to say that two properly constructed devices based on Alexanderson's principles, if you have one antenna in San Francisco and you have one in Los Angeles, and everything was tuned up right, that if you were standing in the one in San Francisco, you would be simultaneously standing under the one in Los Angeles as long as the generators were running. That is the implication of that particular technology or engineering, and that's what makes it worth studying.
Could you comment if you wish that the Philadelphia experiment might have been a variation of that?
Well, see, the Philadelphia experiment I don't know about because that's not there, you know what I mean?
I understand.
But yeah, the Philadelphia experiment would have to be, it would be something similar to that, but it'd be more like that integratron. But we're starting to get into that direction. That's what we're starting to get into. What it is what Alex Anderson had done the picture of his patent. Well, I'll draw all that out. Alexanderson had done was to figure out a way to make an electric structure that is what's called scalar. In other words, there's no variation in space. If the structure, the switch is closed, the thing's turned on, if there's 100,000 volts at one end of the antenna at t equals 0, at the other end of the antenna, the 100,000 volts is still at t equals 0. There's no time delay for the wave to get from one end to the other. It can be completely neutralized. Now, the first place this was done was in a place called Bolinas, California, which is not too far away from here. This was the first full implementation of the Alexanderson principle to completely neutralize the velocity, because the velocity in the Alexanderson system is engineerable. It has no relation to the velocity of light other than infinite velocity and the velocity of light are two what would be called poles or zeros in the system. In other words, they're kind of like nodal points where it crosses over from one state to the other.
That's it. I think he worked on it briefly. He actually duplicated a couple of Tesla's experiments in the 80s. He was pretty much the only guy that ever was able to do it. So there must be some method to his madness. Well, what do you guys think, man? I do have to get a little bit of rest before I got to go do my thing and try to make the team. But,
You'll get rained out.
oh, I hope I do. I hope I do. I don't really want
to,
but
You don't
I
really
have
want
to
to go.
I have to go. I can't give my word.
Enjoy the
But
game.
I'm already feeling kind of tired, you know. So,
Yeah, you should go get some rest before you have to do that. What time do you have to go?
noon. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, that's...
I leave about 11, so yeah, about less than 5 hours from now.
You know, if it was me, and so right now it's 7.
It's 6:48 a.m. for me.
If I went to bed right now, there's no way I'd be waking up at 11. Like, oh, you know.
I'll just take a power nap, you know, and then when I come back, I can sleep. You know.
Power.
Yeah. Don't you know what a power nap is?
Uh-huh. Yes, I know what the...
Like a 2-hour
I
nap.
live on that's for you.
Sorry, Sam, here.
Actually, a power nap is like 20 minutes, but I'll take a 2-hour power nap. That'll help me.
Just make sure you set the alarm clock, Rev.
Yeah, I'm going to for sure. I hate to leave. You know, I do. I never want to. I always want to stay. It's always fun chatting with everybody, you know, getting and seeing people and stuff. It's my only time I really get to be social.
I see in the chat where Alquim was it suggested that Dolan might have ended up on methamphetamines or something, so that might be why it's not around anymore.
He's like 70 years old, going blind. Last time I heard. I doubt so.
Yeah.
I don't think the guy was ever into alcohol or drugs. I really don't. I don't know. It'd be a surprise to me. Be a surprise. But you never know.
Why not? He's a person. Why
Well,
wouldn't
yeah,
he
but
be?
he's in his 70s. People don't do drugs in their 70s, do they?
Well, this is a long time.
Yes, I do.
You know, when he got in trouble or whatever. But I mean, he might have been, you know, 40, 50 years old. I mean, this is a while ago. I'm sure that he doesn't do it now.
Right.
But he could have been doing it before. Why not? Doesn't make him a bad.
Maybe, but yeah. The way he talks about it is he lost everything a couple times and just got sick of it and decided to just live in his car and say screw it.
Well, every time he tried it, he would get going on something. He'd get somebody to
Back him up.
Back him up, like support him or whatever, give him money, fund him or whatever, and then he would set up his stuff and get going, and then they'd come in and they, take everything away.
Right. Well, I have. There's. Well, you got. I'll link you that Dollard presentation, 3 hours on the history of electricity. It's
Yeah,
really
I got
good.
that.
But there's another video. I have a playlist. That's a Dollard playlist, and there's when you said he talks about the sun. Yeah, that is very interesting. Let me see if I can find that. It's very short.
You can't see
Too.
the sun. You can't see the sun when you're,
Oh, that one where he's in the car. I wasn't talking about. I was talking about the one where he's talking about. I'll show you.
Into the concept of counter space.
Okay. Let me see where that would be. The sun. It's 2 minutes long, so I'll play it.
Okay.
Is the sun actually, do you believe, combusting in our
It's not burning anything. There's no fusion in the sun. That's well understood.
Proven.
Yeah, well, there's just not the way to prove that there is any. It's only in the flares do you get fusion. That's why all the X-rays. The flares, the arcs, and the X-rays, and the microwaves, and whatever result of fusion in the arcs. There's no fusion in the sun. They don't know how the sun works.
Why do you, what's special, how does the sun make light?
It's a transformer. Transforms from some other dimension. It's not burning anything. It doesn't have to. It's a converter.
Of what?
I don't know. Nobody knows. But that's what it does. That's the only thing it can do because that's how everything works.
It's transforming from another dimension.
Yeah, you can say it's taking energy from another dimension, counter space. There's no energy, actually. You can't, most of it you can't even measure in outer space or see.
You can't see.
No, you can't see the sun in free space.
So the sun is not visible in outer space.
Not in free space. It's only invisible when gross matter becomes involved, like the Earth's atmosphere and envelope and the surface of the moon or whatever. That makes the light. Otherwise, there is no light. You can see the moon, you can see the Earth, but you can't see the sun or you can't see the stars.
But you can see the planets and the satellites.
Right. You can see material objects, but you cannot see the sources of light. There is no light until there's a material object
to reflect off.
So that means there's no time delay.
He doesn't want to
so the
say
whole
the
time
sun
delay
is
thing is
I know he has
meaningless.
before, but for
Doesn't
some
take
reason
light
here it
years. There are no light years because there's no light. So that means that the light you see from the distant stars isn't 4 million years old. It could be only minutes old. It could be instantaneous. All the theories collapse when you can't see the stars in outer space. Well, nuclear fission is a religion.
I don't know. That's a good one. I never heard that before. I tend to doubt that, but okay.
So today I'm going to begin the review of a paper by Eric Dollard sent to me by one of my viewers named Martin. So first I just want to thank Martin for sending along this paper. This is an action-packed paper, so it might take me 1 or 2 or 3 videos.
Well, I guess it's time to say goodbye. I had a really good time, everybody. Did you guys have fun?
Yeah, I always do.
Yeah, me too. Yeah. We got a cool little crew.
Yeah, it was quite good. Thanks.
Yeah.
That was quite good. Thanks for the afternoon's entertainment.
Oh, yeah. Well, listen, if we get rained out.
Well, it's not only entertainment because we do learn things too.
Absolutely. Yes. If we do get rained out, maybe we can come back and chat. Now, I have a 10 o'clock appointment with Ramon tonight. So, Grouch, and Pauli, anybody wants to join me, we're going to do a Skype call. So.
Well, you give me, how many hours away is that? You're what, 6 a.m., 7 a.m. now? So that's 12, 14, 15 hours time.
I'll give
that's
you
15 hours time.
Yeah, I'll give,
that's in 15 hours.
Yeah, I'll give you a heads up.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah, 15 hours from now. That'll be 9, 11, that'll be 1 p.m. my time.
Yes.
Yeah, tomorrow.
So let me say goodbye to everybody in chat.
No worries. Thanks, Greg.
Oh,
I'll cut out. See ya. See ya.
I was going to do some GFK, but I'll do it next time. And I just wanted to say goodbye, Spooky Tooth. You were with us the whole duration, weren't you? Alchemy 88. I know. I don't want to go. I don't, but I got to get some rest. Thank you, Alchemy. Saturn Matrix. Lauren Morris. Good to see you. Good to meet you. I think. Did we meet before? If not, welcome. T-Nix. Always a pleasure to see you. Let's see, who else do we got? Saturn Matrix, and scrolling. I'm glad that you guys had some cool conversations. It looks like you were pretty busy talking. That's good. It's good to see you. Red Draken. Love ya. Same Pauli girl, of course. And, well, that looks like it's about it. Barbara Groley. Nice to meet you. Magic plasma balls. All right, well, until next time, folks, I'm going to play a couple songs to exit with, but I will see you, and I love you. Really, I do. I care about you. So stick with me, okay? Thank you. You too, Barbara. I will. And it won't be long. Hey, if I get rained out today, I might come back, because I always love doing this, for sure. And I just hope you don't get bored of me. We got a good crew. Grouch, Dogstar, St. Pauli girl, Edusa, thank you for your help. It's greatly appreciated. And I'll see you guys next time. Take care. I'll see you on down the road.
In the end of town, in the mouth, devils around.
We can find mystery and romance in the lives of nations and countries, as well as in the lives of individuals, and perhaps of all the strange and mysterious parts of the world. There is none that is so filled with the elements of fascinating and alluring mystery as that of the country of California. I use the word country very advisedly because the more one becomes acquainted with the state of California, its history, its traditions, its heritage, its people of today, and their inherited customs, interesting habits of living, the more one is convinced that the personal sentiments regarding California as our public are more deeply seated than most Americans realize. They definitely have their own way. I'll give them that. It often surprises, really laid back. I like that because I'm laid back. It often surprises those who go from various parts of the world, and especially those who go to this new land from eastern parts of the United States, to find that California is still very proud of the former flag of its republic, and that on every holiday, at every fiesta occasion, which means very frequently, indeed, the flag of the Republic of California is displayed alongside the American flag. There is no other state in the Union, perhaps, in which the school children are taught so many songs that praise the glories of California and pay tribute to its ancient and present-day virtues, and where such songs are sung not only by the children but by the adults in their theaters, by the members of the various service clubs, and by large conclaves wherever they may be assembled. The ancient spirit of gaiety and gala festivities, this was written in the 30s or the 20s, so, festivities is still so alive in the hearts of the Californians that at the least excuse, the visit of beneath the rolling restless seas lie the mysteries of forgotten civilizations, swept by the tides, half buried in the sands, worn away by terrific pressure. Lies a culture little known to our age of today, where the mighty Pacific now rolls in a majestic sweep of thousands of miles. There was once a vast continent. This land was known as Lemuria, and its people as Lemurians. We pride ourselves upon the inventions, conveniences, and developments of today. We call them modern. But these ancient and long-forgotten people excelled us. Things we speak of as future possibilities, they knew as everyday realities. Science has gradually pieced together the evidences of this lost race, and in this book you will find the most astounding, enthralling chapters. Lemuria, lost continent of the Pacific. How these people came to be swept from the face of the earth, except for survivors who have living descendants today, is explained. Illustrations and explanations of their mystic symbols, maps of the continent, and many ancient truths and laws are contained in this unusual book. And it's written by a guy named Wisher S. Serve in 1931. The cycles of changes in the earth. The following extracts are from a personal manuscript by John H. Tice, meteorologist, published privately by the officers and directors of the Meteorological Research and Publication Company of St. Louis, Missouri in 1875. For half a century, scientists have earnestly been laboring to discover a cycle in the cataclysms, but without success. Every day, the necessity for it becomes more evident and the demand for it more earnest and pressing. Professor Locklear, an English astronomer and a renowned spectroscopist, expresses himself upon this subject as follows. In meteorology, as in astronomy, the thing to hunt down is a cycle, and if it is not to be found in the temperate zones, then go to the frigid zones or to the torrid zones to look for it. If found, then above all things, and in whatever manner, lay hold of it, study it, record it, and see what happens. Observations on special phenomena, such as sunspots, solar physics, generally magnetic intensity in the Earth, electric tension, both of the Earth and of the atmosphere, auroras, earthquakes, cyclones, rainfalls, and terrestrial temperatures, have been made for a half century, and some for nearly 2 centuries. Why these observations have not been more fruitful and valuable results is owing to the fact that each observer worked independently and made the observations of his chosen phenomenon a specialty, without ever dreaming that there was a correlation between all physical phenomena. No islands in space. After devoting a period to their work equal to half the length of what the psalmist assigns as term of human life, each observer came to the conclusion that his special phenomena had a periodicity and repeated itself in a cycle between 10 and 12 years. After having satisfied myself to the existence of meteorological cycles, about 8 years ago, I undertook to investigate their cause, with a view of determining their length, as nothing can exist without a cause. Synchronous and covariant phenomena, regularly repeating themselves in cycles of uniform length, must have a permanent cause that is common to them all, and whatever that may be, and whosoever located it must be ascertainable and susceptible of proof. In the preceding part of this work, I have demonstrated that winds, rain, snow, and hailstorms, cyclones, auroras, earthquakes, in fine, all telluric and atmospheric phenomena are electric, and that under what may be considered the normal condition of the Earth and the atmosphere, the electricity necessary to their production is constantly being generated, but with varying energy. The testimony of the facts presented incontestably establishes 3 points: that earthquakes have a periodicity in the frequency of their occurrence, and that they show well-defined periods of maxims and minima, which alternate regularly as to time with each other. Examinations of the dates of their occurrences show that these maxima and minima are covariants with those of other physical disturbances. Earthquakes are caused by disruptive discharges of electricity through the strata of the Earth. Electric currents at all times are circulating through the Earth from east to west. In times of physical perturbations, indicated by sunspots, auroras, and great oscillations in the magnetic needle, Earth currents, as they are called, often become too intense to be transmitted through the strata of the Earth, unless where the strata are unbroken or of good conductive capacity. These currents, where the strata are broken up or of too feeble conductive capacity, become dammed up, as it were, until they are strong enough to force a passage which is affected by what is called a disruptive discharge. I'll be danged. This guy was an electric universe advocate, and the thing was, he's so busy looking for a cycle that he didn't even realize. He knew that and just kind of like, I'll just put that in my pocket. Okay.
A little tease for next week, maybe.